welcome back. This is your man Warrior. This is another patron roster review, and this is Vodka Please from the Force Unleashed. That's right, Vodka Please from the Force Unleashed, and he is one of my patrons now. The couple of things that Vodka Please wants to know about this is what should he go for in Phase 2 of the AAT Heroic Raid, whether he should go for clones or droids, and so we're going to talk about that. He also wants to know about the arena, whether he should put R2-D2 in place of K2SO, which it looks like he's done. And I also was talking to him about the possible Zeta of combat analysis, and upon further review, not only did he decide to jump into R2-D2 and put him in there for K2SO, but he did combat analysis Zeta. So most of the arena aspect has already been resolved. He's jumped in there, and it looks like it's doing fairly well. Obviously, tweaking mods is going to be how you get your team faster and stronger and more potent and more powerful, and so you're definitely going to want to tweak those mods a little bit here and there to check it out. But he also wants a plan on ships. He has no real plan. He's just kind of floating and doing well, but doesn't really know what to focus on or what to do for ships. So yeah, great team in ships and great team in arena, but we're going to focus him up just a little bit with arena. Also wanted kind of an alternate team just in case he's, wants to step away from the Rogue One team here and there occasionally. So we're going to suggest another arena team as well. So first we're going to go into arena team, and I'm going to suggest an optional team outside of Rogue One. All right, now this optional team is a pretty overpowered team. It's a team that a lot of people run, and it's a Rex-led team. Now, your Rex is at Gear 7 or 8, and you're going to have to get him up all the way to Gear 10, at least for the leadership. He's a very squishy character, one of the lowest health characters in the game, like the second lowest health. So you definitely need all of that gear to get up his health. You need every bit that you can get. But Rex lead is definitely one of the best leads in the game and has been since the inception of Rex into the game. So definitely want to continue to, put him in your favorites and continue to level him up. Underneath Rex is going to, of course, be your turret and bays in your top row to the top right. Your turret and bays are, 6-star gear, 11. It's just craziness. They're super overpowered. Them with anyone is great. And Rex lead with turret and bays is the trifecta for any team in the arena. And then you can add in there 2 additional characters. The 2 I would add is probably your Boba Fett. And the reason for that is you've got him leveled up pretty high, so he's pretty arena viable, and he's an excellent addition to this particular composition with his ability block. And then you could, instead of Boba Fett, since he's only Gear 9, you could use Emperor Palpatine. They have a similar ability in that Boba Fett can ability block, Emperor Palpatine can stun. Essentially what either both do is kind of skip the turn. Ability block lets them only, basic attack, and stunning potentially prevents them from taking the next round of turns. So they're very similar. Basically what they're doing is slowing down the opponent and using their special abilities. Either way, Emperor Palpatine's a little stronger and a little heavier hitter on his basic, but your Boba Fett's going to have your insta-kill option with execute. So one of those 2 in that slot, in the 4th slot, and in the 5th slot, I would suggest Darth Nihilus. He's got a true and the only true insta-kill in the game. He can dispel, which you definitely want another dispeller to be able to get rid of the taunts and any positive status effects that the other team is getting over their head. But you only have him at Gear 8. You're going to need him higher than Gear 8 to really be arena viable. He's very, very, very tanky with a ton of protection, but you're going to want to get him up to Gear 10. So slap him in your favorites like Rex, and Rex, Boba Fett, and Darth Nihilus level up to at least Gear 10, and that is a great, and I mean great, alternate arena team to that. As far as General Kenobi goes, I noticed you did not have General Kenobi yet, and so I definitely hope that your team is working on the heroics and you're going to get him unlocked hopefully soon, and that's why you're asking about the heroics. So when you can get him, he's definitely a must gear immediately. He's a wonderful character. A couple others just on the side, a couple other characters you're going to want to level up. Of course, I said Rex already, but Kylo Ren is a great independent attacker. He can go onto any team, and he makes a really great Zeta as well. And so you've got him Gear 7. I would just continue. You've got a lot of time invested into him already. I would just finish him off, put him in your favorites and finish him off. Also, slap TIE Fighter Pilot into your favorites. He's a phenomenal character. You've got him so maxed out, but you've only got him gear 9. Finish him off. Get him at least to gear 10. You're close, and so just kind of give him the last little bit. He is kind of squishy. You want to get him as durable as possible, especially because of the heroic raid. You're going to want to do that. And then the last one, kind of on the side, is going to be Princess Leia. Princess Leia is a great rebel. She's going to work great with clones if you end up using clones for phase 2 or phase 4. And you have invested a lot. She's gear 8, and she's 7-star with her abilities at 7 or maxed. So, I mean, this is a lot of investment to a character. Just kind of stop at gear 8, kind of like your TIE Fighter Pilot. So keep going. Get your Leia finished, get Rex finished, get TIE Fighter Pilot finished, and get Kylo finished. Those are 4 projects that are kind of just left floating. Now, as far as the phase 2, what I noticed is you're about equal in your development of going with either clones or droids. So you're going to have to decide, do I want to go droids or do I want to go clones? And since you're equal, you've got to make a decision. Clones are kind of harder as a unit to farm because they farm out of a lot of the same spots, and Clone Sergeant is just a ridiculously hard farm, and you really need him for the team to be complete. So it's going to take a lot to get clones up, but they're the better bet. So if you're wanting to do the mass damage, clones are the way to go. But if you're wanting to do a faster farm and a faster gearing, and you want to be able to have a pretty decent team that you can get much faster and geared much faster, you would go droids. So the droids, you probably already know, would be HK-47 lead, IG-86, IG-88, which you're already kind of almost there. I mean, you need another star for 86, which he's an extremely fast farm, and all 3 of these characters gear relatively fast. And then, of course, Chief Nebit and Jawa Engineer. And Chief Nebit and Jawa Engineer, you got at 6 stars, so you're very close to completion on them. But gear 8 and gear 9, you're going to have to put more gear into them, and they're average to gear. Now, when you look at your clones, you've got them gear 8 or gear 7 or gear 6, and you don't have any of them completed but Rex as far as your rarity, your star rate. So this is going to be tough. I mean, you know, 5s is an easy farm to get him up quickly. But Echo and Cody is going to be a bit of a grind to get him up. And Clone Sergeant, forget about it. He's a nightmare. He's going to take you months. So he's one of those things where you either have to accept that you're going to have to wait a couple of months before you have a Clones Phase 2 ready team, or you're going to have to embrace the fact that you're going to do less damage and go droids. So you're going to have to decide which direction that you want to go, and then just commit fully to that direction. Keep in mind, the droids do not require a Zeta at all. The clones do require a Zeta under Cody. That's the whole point of this team, is to have a Cody lead with his Zeta leadership ability. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more clarity into Phase 2. And we've gone over Arena. Let's go ahead and move over to ships so you can kind of have some focus there. So you're using Admiral Akbar, and it makes sense. He's your highest capital ship, and so I would continue to use him. But as far as the characters that you're using, you're currently... Let's look at it. Ships, you're pretty set up. You've got your Admiral Akbar. You've got your TIE Advanced with the Biggs combo. You've got the Imperial TIE Fighter, and you've got Cassian's U-Wing. Cassian's U-Wing is powerful, but it's really more centered around a rebel squad, and you can have a ton of rebels. I mean, you've got Admiral Akbar and Biggs in here, but there's so much more synergy with rebels that you could attain if you went rebels, and it looks more like you're going target lock, which Cassian's ship can do. But I would probably, you can keep him in there if you wanted to, but I would probably pull your Slave 1, surprisingly, out of this initial 5 lineup and put the other TIE Fighter pilot in here, or Scimitar. So the Scimitar would be a great addition. So you do the TIE Advanced, your Imperial TIE Fighter, Biggs, and then you would use the Scimitar and Cassian's U-Wing. And the reason for this is you're going to have everybody doing target lock, and the Imperial TIE Fighter is going to do it right away. You already know that causes Biggs to taunt, and then Biggs will protect this team. With Scimitar in the initial lineup, everyone you kill, when the new people come in on their backup, they're going to already have target lock. And then when one of your ships dies, Slave 1's going to come in, and he's going to be able to do mass damage with his AoE on everyone target locked. And then in your backup, I've already suggested Slave 1 is the first slot, but then I would do probably Wedge, as the second. He is a very durable and heavy hitting damage dealer, and since he's coming in off the belt, you'll be able to use his special ability right away, and that thing can hit for 50 to 100,000 on a hit. So it's a finisher, it's a finishing move, it really is. And so he's great to have coming in second. And then for durability of your ships coming in last place, I would probably recommend your most powerful ship, Jedi Consular, with the assist and the protection up and whatnot. This would be a great ship to have coming in off of at the very end after him. So you could definitely do that. So you've got a great lineup. You're actually doing well. I think the only thing that I would suggest is, like I said, pull Slave 1 out of the initial lineup. He'd be better suited coming in and doing a mass AoE damage after you've painted the other team with a bunch of target lock, and then have him come in and do a ton of damage, versus him being in the initial lineup and potentially being taken out quickly. You don't want that. So I would definitely recommend pulling him and putting in the other either Scimitar or the other TIE Fighter, but probably Scimitar, just so you get that stealth, and Biggs will be able to shoot out of turn and gain all that extra protection. So that would make it more durable. And then as far as your inventory on ships, you're going to want to continue developing all of these, especially like Clone Sergeant and the Umbaran. They're easy farms, those ships. Rex's ship, keep farming. The Imperial TIE Fighter, keep farming. The First Order TIE Fighter, Biggs. Finish these ships off, and I know you're probably doing so, but all of them that you can get maxed out, get them maxed out. Most of these ships you can max, like Wedges, Poes you can farm, Ahsokas you can farm. And a lot of these even in Galactic War, for the Galactic War tokens. You know, the Scimitar is tougher for sure, because you're going to have to, that one's competing with Rex and some of the others. But Clone Sergeant's pretty easy. The Umbaran Starfighter's pretty easy. Biggs is easy. Sunfax is pretty easy. Make sure that you're working on all of these ships and getting them maxed out. Don't kind of sit back on your laurels and decide. So for like Biggs, you've got him 6-star, you're using him in your lineup, so keep going. Make sure that you integrate him in to your team like you have him, and then develop him completely. Don't ever stop. Make sure you're developing all the characters that you're using. So with that said, that's about it. That's all you needed to know. It looks like phase 2, I would probably lean towards clones myself personally, but droids are kind of the path of least resistance, so to speak. It depends, I guess, on how long you're waiting or willing to wait for that. It also depends on if you're wanting to speed it up through spending a little bit of money on crystals and buying some of these to get your clone team up faster. And then of course the droids are going to be easier to gear, a little bit easier to gear. So they're kind of the path least resistance, but I think clones is the way I would go. You're just going to have to develop them and take a little bit of time. Your arena team looks awesome. Looks like you're doing a great job with that. I love the Rogue One team. They're phenomenal. They're going to pay off, especially when Ahsoka, the new Ahsoka, comes into the game. That's probably the only other thing I'll add to this for you, is definitely when Ahsoka comes out, make her your number one priority in the game. So as always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.